Torah on page Yud Beis, Lech Lecha, page Yud Beis, the end of the page. Last paragraph, 5 lines in the end of the page. The last thing out, the Rabbi was explaining that in Chol, there's 2 levels. There's Chol Gomor, and then there's Chol and Shenasal, Kataris and the level of Chol HaMoyed. So it's Chol, but it's also Moyed. So he says that the whole Avodah of the Yid is the level of Shabbos, the 3 days before, 3 days after, and through the Avodah Lases, Lesaking to fix, like he says, the legumes that you have to, that are bitter, you have to sweeten, and the level of Milah to remove the Mosoch, and therefore Milah, he says, is Mal Yudkei. Mal means the level of speech, revelation, and then you bring down that level of Elokus all the way down here. And this revelation from above is a level, it's called Chashmal. Chashmal is a word in the Nevuah of Yecheskel, which means a Gilui of Elokus. Today, they use it in modern day Hebrew for electricity. But really, Chashmal is a very holy level of Elokus all the way up there. So he says, but Chashmal is 2 words, Chash and Mal. Chash means silent, and Mal means to talk, like he just said. Item HaShabbos. Sometimes this level is a level of concealment, like it says, the defense of Chachma is silence. That means silence is a level of Chachma, because Chachma is too great to be revealed. Therefore it's concealed. Sometimes you need to reveal it. The level of Dibor, the Gilui. Okay? So he says, that's this level of Bris Milah that he says, Mal Yudke, revealing the level of Yudke Vavke, removing the parsa. He says sometimes you have to have Chash, and sometimes Mal, which is the level of Chashmal. Sometimes there's a level of Shtika, meaning it can't be revealed yet. By the way, that's the level of Chachma, or for that matter, Machshava. And then you have the level of Dibur, which is Mal. And then he says another interpretation of Mal, Miloshin vo yeshiv mimuli. He says you're sitting opposite me. Mal is a word mul, opposite, meaning it's a revelation as if it's mamish opposite me. Mal Yudke, in other words, means that the level of Yudke is opposite to me. It's so revealed, it's mamish in front of me. What is this in Aveda? Down here, in Iksiv, Na'asadam, Tzalman, Kid Museinu, says, let us make man in our image. Yesh Gamkim, Masach al Eved Amashpia. So the same thing, the Eibishter created the person with the Arla skin. It's covering the limb that, like we said, creates Puruvu. That's Mashpia. Shehu Vachinas Ram, which is the level of Ram, Hanistaris Lashem Elokeinu, which is the level of concealment, and then Nistaris Lashem Elokeinu Chub, Niglis Lanu V'neinai Dehat Milah, through the level of Milah, Nasa Niglis Lanu V'neinu, it becomes revealed to us and our children, Shagili Ein Ela B'chinas Levaneinu, which is the level of Heiloda. When we say the Gilu is Lanu Ulvaneinu, to us and our children. That means it's a Gilu even to the next level. Not only to us, but it's also to the level of Baneinu, the offshoots. And he says, when the Ehei was added to Avram, it's still, the Reish is still there. In other words, what's interesting, Yaakov's name was changed completely. Yaakov became Yisrael. Sarai became Sarah. It's a change. But by Avram, it's the exact same name. It's still Avram, but there's a hay stuck in the middle. I mean, there is still the level of Ram, the level of Nistares, and Teisale Bechinas Ram Zabegilui. Because hay is the level of speech. Hey Matzor Saped, the 5 formations of speech. Hey represents the level of dibur. Yud represents machshava. Hey represents dibur. So what does it mean, the level of Milah? Avram, when Avram had the Bris Milah, he added a hey, meaning like this. It still was the level of Avram. It's still the level of Nistaris. But that level of Nistaris became hey, meaning it became revealed through the level of Bris Milah. And that's why, now the Rebbe is answering the original question, what the guy asked. If Hashem hates the Arla, why didn't he make us circumcised? Because Hashem, that's the avodah of the Jew. The avodah of the Jew is to, in Milah, Mol Yudke, meaning to reveal the level of Yudke from the hidden level, which is behind the Parsa, meaning it's concealed, and to reveal it. That's the avodah of the Jew.
Mol is revealing?
Mol, it says, number one, circumcision. Mol is malala, with speech, which is revealing. Mol Yudke. And then he says, Mol is mimuli, opposite me. So through the Milah, you reveal the level of Elokus. Mol, the revelation, is mimuli, mamish in front of me. Not only to me, lanu l'vaneinu. That's a three-word definition of the word Mol.
Why Yudke and not Vavke?
No, because Yudke is the hidden levels. Hanistaris Hashem Elokeinu ve'haniglis. So Vavhe represents the level of Elokus which is revealed.
Yes.
Yudke Hanistaris Hashem Elokeinu. That's the level of Yudke. There's still the level of Seichel. It doesn't come into Hiloda Midas, which is the revelation. Seichel itself is concealed. Therefore, Seichel shows no emotions, B'chlav. There's no revelation in Seichel. Midas is revealed. The guy's dancing, happy, sad, depressed, whatever it may be. So that level is the level of Gilui. Like it said, Hanistaris Hashem Elokeinu ve'haniglos, Vavhei niglos. The level of Vavhei is the level of niglos. Therefore, the Rebbe explains in Tanya that good that comes down in the form of bad, meaning it's concealed good, is the level of Yudke. Revealed good is the level of Vavke. Therefore, the Alter Rebbe explains you shouldn't get depressed when something seemingly bad happens to you, because it's really a higher level of good than the good is. The good is only from Vavhe, and this is from Yudke. That's the whole level of Milah. And he said, Amilu Gilui. And then he said, which is the primary Avdallah. He says, Ki b'shiva havdalas lahavdal ben tamei, ein anu emrim lefi shein tzar kol kach. He said there's really ben atam lator, and we say amavdal ben kodesh lochol ben olochesh ben yisrael am sheshis miyamaisa. Right, ben yemesh sheshis miyamaisa. That's 4. There's really 7 havdalas. There's a level of ben tamei lator and all that, but we don't say it because ki me'ach shemavin havdalas ben kodesh lochol. Okay. Okay. Let's just do with the on page. Okay, that's the end of this mimer. On page Yud Gimel, second column, is a very one short paragraph mimer of Sarah Ishtacha. Okay, so the pasuk says when Hashem changed the name. So the Alter Rebbe explains the name of Avram, the same name, still Avram. There's still Nistaris, Ram, exalted, but it's with the letter Hey, it becomes revealed. So now he says, Sarai Ishtacha, Leisikra Shma Sarai, Ki Sarai Shma. Hashem said to Avram, basically, Sarai can't have children. But her name is Sarah, so now she'll be able to have children. So in other words, the Alter Rebbe is going to ask, L'chayra, that means the Hey is causing the birth. Sarai with the Yud can't, and now with the Hey you could. So he says, in Eshini Hashem Shel Sada is Lias La Bechina Seilada. Okay, the purpose of changing Sarai's name is to give birth. Like the Medrash says, Sarai leiteled. Hashem said, Sarai can't give birth, but Sarah could. In Cain, Tzarech lahavin, halei Milah sayud gevaya min hay. Yud is higher than Hey. Yud is Chachma, Hey is Bina. So if Yud couldn't do it, how could Hey do it? Yud is higher than Hey. Ki Yud is Chachma, Hey is Bina. Ebenei, then it's known, Ki Iker Heladam Mechinas Chachma. Primary level of birth comes from the level of Chachma, Visha Chachma Nikra Ayin. Va Chachma Ma'ayin Timatzei. In other words, birth is really Yesh Mi'ayin. Take a seed, the seed of the father, and all of a sudden comes out a big kid. So look, it's not real Yesh Man, because without the seed, without the sperm, you can't do it. But relatively speaking, the two Mishalim of Yesh Mi'ayin in Gashmias is planting a seed in the ground and childbirth. So now, Yesh Mi'ayin comes from Chochmah, because Chochmah Ma'ayin Timatzei. Chochmah comes from Ayin. So what Yesh Mi'ayin? Chochmah. Therefore, what could create a Halada, birth, is the level of Chochmah. Bina is only Yesh Mi'yesh. Bina is taking the spark of Chochmah and elaborating on it. That's not Yesh Mi'ayin. So he says, Ki Iker B'chin Halada comes from Chochmah, because Chochmah is Ayin and Chochmah Ayin Timatzei. Ma'ashe'enkin Bina is called Yesh. Yesh Mi'yesh. Right?
So Yud should do it easier.
Yud should be able to. Yud is Chachma. Yud is Chachma. The level of Hilad is Chachma. So he says, okay. So he says, why over here is it reverse? In order for him to have the Hilada, you take away the Yud and you only give her a Hey instead. Right? It's not like by Avram Avinu they added a letter. Here they actually took a Yud and made the Yud into a Hey. So they tell, I mean, in a simple pshat, they took the Yud from Sarai and made two Heys out of it. One Hey went to Avraham, and one Hey went to Sarah. So nothing was missing, so to speak. In Gematria, they took the Yud, and then they made the Yud into two Heys. They had change, they gave change for the Yud to make it into two Heys. And then the Yud came with a complaint, the famous Medrash. So the Medrash says that the Yud came with a taina, but you just made me disappear. Hashem said to him, now you're the last letter of a woman, I'm going to make you Yeshua, you're going to be the first letter of Yeshua. So the Yud was a piece.
Can we say that Yud we saw before?
Huh?
Yud is concealment. Hey,
One second. But the question is, L'chayre Yud is Haylada more than Hey. So how come Yud couldn't do it and Hey doesn't? One second. Ki Avram v'Sara, the level of Chachma Ilah v'Chachma Tata. Shesheresh Avram is Chachma Vatzilis. Okay? So he says like this. Avram and Sarah is higher level of Chachma and lower level of Chachma. B'nei l'mayla kachu amida. Mida iker elam. The Mida is the primary level of birth. In order to give birth, you need to have tzimtzum. Because if the thing is revealed as is, meaning, if seichel is revealed as is, all you're going to have is seichel. In order to create midas from seichel, you need to have a tzimtzum. Otherwise, you can have again the same gilui of chokhmah. Tzimtzum di'em avayim or your ein sof mispashit. K'mei shul b'chinas ein sof, because if Elokus would be infinite, l'hoya ev sheli yeshum misavis mitzias klau. You couldn't have, with an infinite revelation, you can't have the level of gilui, because it'd only be beligvul. I feel like they because even through tens of thousands, in other words, take infinite, cut it in half, and again in half, and again in half, and it's still infinite. There's no thing as half of infinite. So, ki geshmei keinu ein sof lishpastusa. But down here, it's the opposite. Meaning, if the Or would be limited, now the Rebbe is saying like this. There's an interesting thing. From above's perspective, it's infinite, yeah? If it's revealing infinite, then you're only going to have infinite. You're not going to have a gilui, in a limited form. From our perspective, which is down here, it has, in order to get something, you need to reveal it. In other words, from Elokus's perspective, in order to reveal it, you need to limit it, tzimtzum it. Down here, in order to get anything, you need to reveal it. This is two opposite perspectives. It's like, Milah is ayin miyesh, down here is yesh miyayin. Same thing, if you think about it, from Elokus perspective, when it's infinite revelation, it has to limit itself to be able to reveal to world. But if it's only limitation, then world doesn't get anything. It's still cheshach. So from our perspective, it needs to be a gilui. So he says, if the light would be totally mitzumtzum, and therefore v'ik it is savis hametzias. Why they b'chinas is pashtus for chova dafka. Okay? And like he says, like it says in the picture of the two hays, because the milui of hay, when we learned there's a milui, when you write out aleph, it's aleph lamed pei. Beis is beis itself. So hay could be hey yud, hey aleph. So he says, mash in the states of Avraham, hey Avraham ain't a meilid. That hay of Avram that was added to him cannot give birth. Why? Because Avram was Chachmilah. Okay? In other words, hay is revealing. The hay of Avram, infinite, cannot give birth to something limited. Can't give birth to Midas, which is limited. Al der b'chinas hanefesh she'asa b'chad and halos mizeh lo mizeh. Aval leiladis Yitzchak mit sitra de kedusha. Lo hayitzarich, you don't need that level. Ki adrab kol sitra de kedusha b'chinas bittul. V'lei his pashtus mashenkin sudden days v'heilag. In other words, from Sarah's perspective, you need to have the gilui of hay to be able to give birth to Yitzchak. From Avram's level, in Kedusha, all you need is the same infinite. Anyway, bottom line is that even though Yud is higher than Hey, and Heiladu comes from the level of Yud, but that's Milah lamata. Yud is infinite. It's just a Nukuda. There's no width, depth, length. It's no form yet. It's bli gvul. But Sarah, because she's level Chochma Tata, the lower level Chamina, Chochma and Bria and world, so over there she needed the hay to have the Gilui of Elokus to create Yitzchak.
Everything is Milah
and Mumata Lamaila.
So hay is a lower level.
There's two hays. Hey. There's the hidden hay.
And the revealed.
And the revealed hay. When you look at the letter hay, all you see is the one hay, the revealed hay. Like it says in Chassidus, the milui of the letter, like Aleph is Aleph Lamed Pei, the gilui of the letter is Aleph. The hester, the concealment of the letter is Lamed Pei. When you have hey, so the hey, the first hay is what's begilui. The second hay is benista.
Which one's higher? The second one?
The second one's higher because it's nista. But that's the level of Avram, the hay of Avram. Because it's Avram, it's still Chochmas Tima, it's still hidden, it's still Ram. But by Sarah, which is the Gilui, over there you need to make the hay. So in Gilui, hay is the Heiloda. And that's why the woman gives birth, not the man. L'cheira, we know, man is Chochma Bina, yeah? Yud Hay. In Hebrew, Lashon Kodesh, Yud is masculine and Hey is feminine. Yeah? So based on what Al Rebbe is saying over here, that Hilad comes from Yud, so why do men should be giving birth? Men are Yud,
Yes.
the women are Hey, Chacham and Bina. Right? So the men should be giving birth. If Kei Halad comes from the Yud, so why aren't the men giving? Because down here the Hey gives birth. The Yud, Milah is not giving birth. It's infinite. It can't be limited.
In Bria, the hay works.
The Hey works. And therefore, in Sarah's level, it's not.
Abraham.
Yeah?
It's Abraham's blood.
Okay. One more Maimah, which is the Maimah they say the Bris Milah. We learned it. But there's a very few Maamarim in Lecha. Okay, let's learn this last Maimah. Okay, back to Nimal Avram. The end of the parsha it says, in the essence of this day, Avram Avinu circumcised. Well, Nimal Avram means what became circumcised. Nimal in Hebrew is passive. Vayamal Avram is active. Nimal means he became circumcised. So he says, Lahavan Akushish in his Svarim, to understand the question asked in those Svarim, why didn't Avram Avinu give himself a bris before he did? He kept the whole Torah even before it was given. I feel Eruv Tavshilin, even Eruv Tavshilin. Interesting. You know the whole story of the Malachim in next week's parsha, that he gave meat and milk together. So it says, from there we see that, so Daskin Malatesa says that he gave meat and milk together contradicts this medrash that says Avram kept the whole Torah. Because Daskin Malatesa in the Vayer over there says that, what does it mean, Afilu Erev Tavshilin? Simply means, the Erev Tavshilin you do before Yom Tov when it's Shabbos over there, yeah? He says Erev Tavshilin means the mixing of meat and milk together. Erev Tavshilin means the mixing of the foods. So if this medrash that he quotes now says Avram Avinu kept even Erev Tavshilin, that means he even kept milchings and fleishiks. That contradicts the medrash that says Avram Avinu gave him meat and milk. Okay, so the answer is that he gave him first the milk and then the meat, like the pasuk says the order. But they're going to Taisus in Chumash, Taskim Malataisus. It said no, it's actually the machlekes of Avram Avinu kept the whole Torah or not. But here the Alter Rebbe is bringing down the famous question, if Avram Avinu kept the whole Torah before it was given, why didn't he do a bris milah before? Why wait until 99 years old? So he says, Lahov and Zed, to understand this, why he didn't do a bris earlier, we need to understand first the level of what Milah is all about. It says in the pasuk, Lei b'shamayim hi. Torah is not in heaven, lamer. Miyala lanu hashamayim. Torah is not in heaven that you'd say, who is going to go up to the heavens, to get the Torah. So it says, Mi ya'ale lanu hashamayim Rosh Tevis Milah. Is the Rosh Tevis of Milah, and the last letters are Yud Kei Vav Kei. Okay? Mi ya'ale lanu hashamayim. So mi mem ya'ale lanu hashamayim is Milah, and the last letters is mi, end with a Yud, ya'ale with a Hey, lanu Vav, and hashamayim with a Hey. So Milah is the Rosh Tevis, and Yud Kei Vav Kei are the end letters. Now we know that the beginning letters are higher than the last letters. So Rosh Tevis at the beginning is greater than the Safed Tevis, because head is higher than end. That means Milah is even higher than the level of Yud Kei Vav Kei.
I thought the end is higher
No. What? No, it's Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's not to do.
The Milui, the ended ones are the higher ones.
No, that's the concealed ones.
Right.
But that's the Milui. Here we're talking about the end letters. Milui is like Aleph is Lamed Pei. But here we're talking about the beginning letters versus the last letters. See, so Miyala Lana Shemaim, who's going to go up to heaven to wake people up from their sleep. So that's what happened. Okay. The Inyan is like this. The Hinik, if it says in the Pasik, Umaltem es orlas levavcha. You should circumcise the orla of your heart. Uksiv in another part, which means you should do it. And another Pasik says, Umal Hashem lakachas levavcha, Hashem will circumcise. So the question is, who's doing the bris? You or Hashem? One pasuk says, Umaltem es orlas levavcha, you should circumcise your heart. Another pasuk says, Umal Hashem lakachas levavcha, Hashem is going to do it. So what does it mean? Obviously, sheyesh beis bechinas Milah. There's two levels of Milah. Ha'achas momata l'mayla. One is our avodah momata l'mayla, that we do the bris and our heart. Shetzichem anullah molasar l'salev. We have to circumcise the arl of the heart when you're not tshuva, which is a level of tshuva. Kumesha kosu. You have to be turned to Hashem. Bekim Torah mitzvahs, Chazal say, Im Yisrael Eis and Tshuva Nigolim, if the Yidden do Tshuva, they're going to be redeemed. Im Lav Ein Nigolim. It's interesting, we have time, but there's a very, Chassidus, the Rabbi had many Maamarim asked this question, that Lecha is a contradiction. We know that there's a machlekes of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua, if everything happened in Tishrei, or but the world was created Tishrei, Nisan, with Elvis born Tishrei, Nisan, all these arguments. So one opinion says, B'Nisan Nigalu, or B'Nisan Asid Nigoy. Mashiach's coming in Nisan. Another opinion says, no, Mashiach's coming in Tishrei. So what's the halacha l'peil? He passes B'Nisan Nigalu, B'Nisan Asid Nigoy. Right? It's the level of Nisan. So the Rebbe asks many Maamarim, but it says Yisrael Eis in Tshuva, this medrash. Like it says, if the Yidden do Tshuva, they're going to be redeemed. If not. Yisrael Eis in Tshuva. Umiyad Hei Nigolin. So the question is, that's Tshuva, Tishrei. So if Mashiach's coming is dependent on Tshuva, Mashiach should be coming in Tishrei. And yet we're saying, no, Mashiach's coming in Nisan, but it still has to be through Tshuva. So which one is it? Nisan or Tishrei? So the Rebbe explains another contradiction, because really Mashiach's coming in Nisan. The koyach of doing tshuva comes from Nisan. The koyach of tshuva comes from a Gilui Milah. What wakes up the Jew out of the clear blue to do tshuva? That's the Gilui Milah. So it's not a contradiction. The Mashiach's actually going to come in Nisan.